two teens who live the same day repeatedly, enabling them to create the titular map. Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new movie review, and today we're discussing a new sci-fi comedy drama by the name of The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, coming to Amazon on February 12th. Now, I'm really excited to let you all know what I thought about this movie, and if you all to check it out in this spoiler-free review. But before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts, which you can find all those links in the description below. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel, and while you're at it, hit that bell. That way you can get the alert for when I drop new content. It would mean a lot to me if you all can like and share this review. It really helps out the channel, but I also appreciate all the support in the comments below. Let me know if you all were looking forward to this movie, and of course, once you've seen the film, let's discuss it. Your pros, your cons, your thoughts of the performances, the chemistry. Did the film get you in the feels? But also, since we're dealing with this time loop, Groundhog's Day approach, if you can relive one day on repeat, what day would that be? For me, it would be about 4 years ago when I went to Disney and Universal. So much fun. But let me know yours in the comments below. So going into this movie, man, I didn't really have the biggest expectations. I didn't see the trailer, didn't read the synopsis. There was one thing that got me excited, and that was Kathryn Newton. I said it back in the fall when I reviewed Freaky. She's one of my favorite up-and-coming actresses. I think she's great. I think she's just grown as an actress. She has a really good screen presence. I've enjoyed her in Paranormal, Blockers, Detective Pikachu, Lady Bird, like I said, Freaky, and then seeing her in the MCU next year, she's going to knock it out of the park. So that was really the selling point for me checking out this film. But I got to say right off the bat, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this film because it has so much heart. And we're going to break it down in this spoiler-free review, starting off with the positives. I just talked about Kathryn Newton, who plays Margaret in this movie, but I was so impressed by not only Kathryn Newton, but her co-lead, Kyle Allen, who plays Mark. Mark and Margaret, their chemistry was off the charts. I've seen my fair share of YA rom-coms in my fair day, but listen, you get into these YA films, these rom-coms, the chemistry is not always there, the screen presence isn't there, but you can't say that about this film because Mark and Margaret were so perfect in this movie in regards to their character and knowing who their characters are. Starting off with Mark, again, we're in this time loop. He doesn't know how the hell he got there. He doesn't know how he can get out, but he's going to take advantage of this. We get to meet his family, and particularly his dad and his young sister. And we see Mark very similar to Bill Murray in regards to Groundhog's Day. He's trying to impress a young lady, but in doing so, that's when he runs into Margaret. But before we get into Margaret, speaking of the performance by Kyle Allen, who again, this is my first time ever watching anything by him, and I thought that he was perfectly cast in this role. He has the charm, he has the charisma, he has the comedic time, and I thought he was really great in this role. And when you look at the character, he's a good kid. He's not a bad kid. He looks at life in a optimistic type of point of view. But his dad in the film, as he's reliving the same day, his dad, Mark is like 17, 18. He's going off to college pretty soon. His dad's like, Mark, you got to figure it out, man. You got to seize the moment. What do you want to do when you grow up? And Mark really doesn't have an answer for that. But obviously, as the film kind of goes on, he kind of knows what he wants to do when he grows up, and particularly when he meets Margaret. But again, just looking at this time loop situation, seeing Mark seizing the day, you know, having a good time, not doing crazy, ridiculous things that you might have seen in some other time loop film. I really enjoyed his character. And again, him learning to not necessarily be about himself and really listening to other people, and particularly the ones closest to him, and just kind of really grasping that idea of seizing the moment. And again, you would look at in the first 10 to 15 minutes, you're like, oh, okay, I like Mark. This is going to be his story. I'm excited to see where things go. And you get a really good kind of wrap up with his character. But don't get it twisted. Kyle Allen is not the lead. This isn't his story. He's not the hero of the story. That is Margaret, again, played by Kathryn Newton. When you get into her, again, I think she's such a great up-and-coming actress who I'm a big fan of, but she's the opposite of Mark. She looks at life in a pessimistic way. She's not all happy, sun and rainbows. She's not doing anything bad. But the day that she's reliving is a very important day, and you find that out in the film. But when she comes across Mark, again, she's a little bit more judgmental about people. She's not as open. She's not as, again, she's a pessimistic when it comes to this time loop. She's not really like seizing the day. She's not really doing the same things that Mark is doing. But again, their chemistry, them kind of figuring out who they are as people. And again, when you figure out what this day means to the Margaret character, it really stuck the landing for me, emotionally speaking. It was so earned, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, their chemistry on screen was absolutely fantastic. And again, get into a little bit of the plot without getting too much into the spoilers. when the time loop begins, they have their own routine. Catherine Newton's character, Margaret, she's just really learning how to drive a car, versus Mark doing a little bit more friendly things to the neighborhood. But they come together and they want to have a little bit more impact. They really want to seize the day. They want to find the perfect things within this time loop to take advantage of, whether it be the older couple playing cards, whether it be a turtle crossing the road. They're really taking advantage of the tiny things in life versus just looking at life at this big scope, like, oh, I don't know what this means, that means. It's a really good story at the heart of it, and it really makes you the film has this message of appreciating the tiny small things that we all encounter in life. And not only is their screen chemistry on point, they're playing 17, 18-year-olds, but of course, if you all know these actors, they're in their mid-20s, but they feel like teenagers. And that's going back to my YA thing that I mentioned earlier, seeing my fair share of YA films. Sometimes you're looking at these actors like, they're playing, you got a 35-year-old playing a 16-year-old. It just doesn't look right, but they actually felt like teenagers, and they did things that you would see teenagers do if they were in this situation, regarding Mark playing video games, Mark eating the types of food, them drinking, them doing things of that nature. I really like the casting of these two actors. And then going into the actual film, this film is a YA love rom-com, but it's mature. It has a intelligence about it. It has a witty nature to the way it's written, but also I'm a big sci-fi head, and I really enjoyed how the film embraced the sci-fi. The time loop and the situation that was going on made a lot of logical sense. It wasn't just a throwaway type of situation. In a sense, this film was like a Palm Springs, which I believe is rated R. This is like the PG-13 version of Palm Springs, which was one of my favorite films of last year. That's a high compliment that I'm giving this film in regards to comparison there. But again, the film embraces the time loop. It adds some depth to the story, and I really appreciate that aspect. But I also want to highlight the director of this film, who treated the audience with respect when it came to explaining things, but not over-explaining things. He allowed the characters to explain the situation at hand, and that's where you fall in love with his characters. And again, appreciating the chemistry that was going on, but also the story of this self-discovery journey that we see the characters going on, and the time that we spend on Earth is so important, even if you are stuck in a time loop. But again, there's other things I want to highlight. There's this particular scene that takes place about an hour into the film. It's like this one take that was just really well choreographed. It was shot well. The dialogue was on point. It's little moments like that in the film. Again, the little tiny things that I really appreciated about this movie. It's smart. It's funny. It has this good romantic elements. It has the organic romantic elements that felt organic to the story. It didn't feel forced, not at all. The pacing was so great in this movie. At not one point did I feel like it was rushed. At not one point did I feel like it dragged on. It was like perfect pacing. The film earns your emotions, and when you get that reveal of how the time loop was created and what it means to these characters, and particularly Margaret's character, it stuck the landing for me personally, emotionally speaking. It was so earned and just so great. The film's about an hour and 39 minutes. It doesn't overwhelm its stay. Again, it speaks to the pacing of this movie. So I can speak a lot more things positively about this film, but I do want to transition into my criticisms here. Now, of course, every rom-com, every time loop film has this type of montage, and that there is a couple montages in this film that probably equal about 7 to 10 minutes of total runtime. It's a bit generic at times. You've seen it before. It doesn't take away my feelings for the film, but it's something like a little nitpick that, again, you come to expect these things in this genre. And again, this film kind of breaks the mold, doesn't rely on tropes, but it was a couple moments in the film where it's just like, okay, you kind of knew you were going to get it, but I was hoping it was going to be a little bit more creative in the sense of the montages that we get in this film. I mentioned the performance of Catherine Newton, and I love the Margaret character, who it's really Margaret's story. And when you get the reveal, I think it's really well earned. And we spend the time with this reveal in a particular character. There's a couple times that we spend time with that character. I wish we would have set in those scenes just a little bit more, because it would have really stuck the landing in regards to, it spoke to me emotionally, but I wish we would have spent more time with Margaret and her story. And I wish it was a little bit earlier in the film. Lastly, the supporting characters in the movie do a really good job in the role. They have a really teeny tiny role, but I wish they were a little bit more involved, and particularly with the Mark character, his brother, or I should say his little sister, who I really enjoyed the scene that he shared with her, and also his dad. I wish there was a little bit more they can do within the film. So those are really only my criticisms that I have for the movie before I give you all my score and my overall thoughts. If you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my new content. With that being said, let me give you all my overall thoughts and my score for this film. So overall, the map of Tiny Perfect Things doesn't fall into the trap of relying on all the tropes we've seen before in time loop movies, but instead it focuses on its characters and their performances, and it really hooks you into the story. Katherine Newton and Kyle Allen truly deliver great performances, and their on-screen chemistry is unmatched. This isn't your stereotypical YA film, but instead it has a lot of heart. It's a great love story, and it actually earns your emotions, and it actually embraces its sci-fi time loop elements more so than I've seen in some sci-fi films in the past. This film shows you how life can definitely throw hardships at us, but it's the taking the time to appreciate the tiny beautiful things that come our way, and you realize that there's more to everything. Seize the day, every moment at a time. With that being said, I'm going to give The Map of Tiny Perfect Things a 4 out of 5. It's a film that really surprised me. I enjoyed the hell out of this film, and I definitely recommend you all give it a watch when it becomes available on Amazon February 12th. I really enjoyed this movie. So that is just my thoughts, my pros, my cons, my overall thoughts. Again, a 4 out of 5. Give it a watch and let me know what you all thought of the movie. Again, in the comments, let me know your pros, your cons, your thoughts of the chemistry. Did it get you in the feels? But also, again, what was that one day that you all would like to relive? Let me know that in the comments. As always, make sure to like this video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell. That way you can get the alert when I drop new content. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you in the next video.